Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. This is for my podcast, Supreme Being. This is on YouTube. This is also on Facebook. Welcome, everybody. Shout out to all the support, all the subscribers on the podcast, YouTube, all the followers on my new Facebook. If you're not aware, they deleted my original Facebook last September. It's been almost a year. If you guys were previously friends with me on my old Facebook account or anything like that, understand that I'm over on a new one. So find me and friend me, send me a message, follow me, do whatever you got to do. Instagram as well. I know it's been difficult to find me, but you can still find me on there. The only account that's me is the one with 41.4K followers. Any other account telling you it's me is lying to you, right? And shout out to all the supporters on Supreme Being, the podcast. We're on every major platform. If you didn't know, if this is your first time hearing on YouTube, Supreme Being is my podcast. Check out the links below. We have my website. You can check out all my courses and things there. You can also sign up for the email list. Number two, those of you who follow me a little bit more closely and you want some extra help and guidance and support, schedule your free strategy call. We also have a Discord link for all of our members that you can join. And lastly, if you're in real estate and you want to find out more about the Icon Ninjas opportunity we have at EXP, you have that link below as well. All right, let's get into it. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about communication and it being in context. I have a lot of stuff written behind me on the board. There were some other things that I was shooting and recording. So this has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today. So you don't have to worry about taking notes or trying to figure that out. I'm at the office, so I'm using this USB mic. The quality of the audio may be slightly different and worse than what I usually use, but let's jump in. Communications and context. Well, a lot of people don't understand or truly understand what that means when I say it. Meaning, right? If I give you a general rule of thumb, like let's say I tell you, or somebody asked me, this is a better way to frame it. Brian, is it okay to cuss? Well, number one, if you're an adult, you can do whatever the hell you want, right? That would be from a life standpoint. Now, if we're going to talk communication, I would tell you, well, it depends on the context. If I go and I do a speech and a talk for a bunch of third graders, it would be incorrect. I would be violating that social environment if I cursed because those are children. That's why I always check. If I'm unsure in the environment that I'm in, if there's little kids, I'm not going to cuss, okay? I don't care if in my regular speech I cuss every other word. When there's children around, I'm not going to cuss. And I've even told people, hey, there's kids here, quiet down because they're being too rowdy. So being respectful of the environment and having social awareness. However, you're hanging out with your friends, you can cuss all you want. So for anybody to tell you, no, you can never cuss, incorrect. Communication is always in context, right? So you have to be able to create a separation there in your mind and in your application because there's going to be certain rules. Like we're going to follow the basic structure of the sale. We're going to use a script. Okay, cool. You have your structure for your conversation. However, even within that, you're going to have some deviations. We know some basics like, hey, if the personality type of the person deviates, we're going to make slight adjustments. So the same thing that you would say to one person, you're not going to say to the next. There would be a slight deviation or change from the words to the delivery to the flow. One would be a little bit more long-winded. One would be more short-winded. You're going to be louder with certain people. You're going to be a little bit quieter with other people. You're going to speak super fast with some people or a lot slower with others, right? So again, what determines that? The context. The context determines what is going to be said, how it's going to be said, and all of the details. And you have to really start to pick up on that stuff. Right? It requires a little bit more attention to detail when you look at the subject versus just rifling off what you read in a book. Okay. So what this does is this allows you, once you understand this at a deeper level, to graduate to another level, to now where most people's observations and opinions and thoughts about communication, they're irrelevant. Right. So sometimes I'll listen to some people talk about communication and very quickly I realize, I'm like, okay, this person is very beginner, some maybe intermediate, but I'm like, they haven't jumped up to that level yet where they really understand this stuff. So how do you know, as an example, right? I know we're kind of jumping around here, but how would you know if somebody in your eyes, if you're trying to assess, could potentially be at a higher level? Well, if rules that you believe to be true of communication, they're breaking and in quotes, getting away with it. I hate that fucking phrase. You don't get away with anything, right? But just so people understand, you feel that they're getting away with it, then that's somebody who's transcended, or maybe they're unaware of it, but they've been able to step to the side of the regular guidelines and still get the result. Like sometimes I've told people being indirect in your communication is much more powerful and will get you much farther than always just being direct when you're selling, right? Because sometimes being direct can be taken, especially in the beginning, as too aggressive, right? Now, if you can get somebody who can be direct from the first moment to the last moment, and do it over and over and over and break the rules and still get the result, that's somebody who's kind of transcended the average or intermediate level, because now they're literally, in quotes, breaking the rules and still getting the result. But we have to, again, approach this subject matter from a more critical mind. We can't just look at it in the traditional way all the way. We have to be able to step back and say, okay, we have what people gave to us as opinions of what is believed to be the right way to do this thing or communicate. And then there's another level. Because I can tell you this, after having spent so much time studying this stuff, but more importantly, this is what's more important, actually having communicated. Because I had people come to my channel or my podcast and talk all this mess about, oh, I have this degree in communication, you don't know anything. It's like, bro, you have a piece of paper. I have thousands of hours of real life experience selling and dealing with people from all walks of life across this planet. So if we went head to head in a real communication, I would wipe the floor with you with whatever we wanted to accomplish. Get a sale, get them to agree with you, right? I've done some pretty cool things over the last 10 years when it comes to communication, okay? Let me give you some examples. A good one. I've been to places, because I don't want to say names in case they get embarrassed, right? I've been to places like I'll travel. I'll go to like Texas, I'll go to Georgia, wherever, right? Like most notably last year when I was touring a lot with my team, we'd go to different states like Tennessee, right? I've been somewhere where, hey, I need to get a ride from, I don't know, let's say this location to the next location, from my residence, we can say my Airbnb or where I'm staying, to the venue, or to meet up with somebody. I've gotten an Uber, and in a less than 10-minute Uber drive, I've convinced, and this was a female Uber, to stop Ubering, join me to eat with my business partner, and then go with us to the event. Okay. And what was that? Communication. Okay. That's normal for me to do. I'm not saying, oh, that was some crazy thing. No, that's normal. I do that type of shit all the time. That's not the average experience for the average person to be able to do something like that, especially if it's the opposite sex. Okay. So again, when someone comes at me sideways, it's like, dude, you have no idea who you're talking to. So please sit down and listen, because those same people who just follow the script, the book that supposedly teaches us, will tell me that I'm wrong. But it's like, dude, I have results and experience with this. How can you possibly tell me that I'm wrong? It doesn't make any sense. So what I said earlier about operating at a different level, people can't even conceive it. They can't even imagine doing that or knowing that that's possible. The same thing can be translated over to, let's say you're listening to this and you have aspirations to be a millionaire or make six figures or start your own business. And up until now, everyone around you and your family had never done that or even thought about it. It's the same thing. They will attack it. They will question it because it's unfamiliar to them. It's unknown. So of course, there's a big question mark there. They're going to attack it or be like, wait, what? So the thought of you making $1 million, it's not even conceivable to them. Just like with this communication stuff, until you start diving deep into it, you guys have no idea what you can do with this. It's incredible, which is why I'm so adamant about skills and studying this stuff. It's incredible because not only does it allow you to change things externally, more importantly, internally. Some of the biggest lessons I've gotten from this stuff is just reprogramming the self-talk, changing how I perceive things, right? The messaging that's going up here that then translates into your everyday experience and how you view the world and all of these things. It's really cool. It's really cool. But you have to start at that baseline level. You really do. And understand, hey, communication first and foremost, right? We're going to have to empty our cup and say, okay, maybe what I was told isn't entirely the truth or could be completely wrong. Let's approach this subject from a perspective of being a brand new student and saying, hey, I'm here to learn. Because what do we do immediately with this subject, communication? First mistake. You get some information from me or somebody else, and then it clashes with something you may already believe, and you start fighting in your mind. Oh, no, that can't be right. As an example, follow this script. Oh, no, can't do the script. And I'm sitting there like, what are you talking about, bro? You're coming here new to sales with no experience, and you're going to dictate or tell me or someone else teaching you what's right and what's wrong? You're in no position to make that judgment call, right? You're not being a proper student. You're not listening. You're already trying to critique with the first piece of information given to you. You need to empty your cup, dude, and listen. Start with the basics. Get that down. Then when you have a grasp on it, then we can have a discussion about thoughts that you're having, a perspective that you have on it, or a thought that you may have. But then now we're approaching it from a different perspective. You're now a practice student in this art, and we can have a discussion about it. But for you to just walk in the building and say, take that down, and I'm not doing this, and what are we doing? Why is the classroom here? Again, you're stepping out of line. You're stepping out of line. And I'm seeing that a lot. And I think people in some cases are doing it inadvertently, right? So that's why I will challenge those ideas. Like what I said in the very beginning about, oh no, you're never supposed to cuss. It's like, dude, it depends. It's on the context. Again, when I'm with children, I'm not going to cuss. But you're hanging out with your friends, you can cuss. Depends on context. So you have to be very weary of some of these things that you say. So number one is that point that I gave you about, you're going to challenge things or just not be a good student. Okay. Number two is people forget, and I actually wrote this one down on the board. When you want to bridge the gap when you're communicating with somebody, think of the syntax that you use. And syntax would be the wordplay and the structure, right? Think of the syntax that you use when you talk to a friend versus when you guys are making like a cold call. And think about it for a second. From your tone to how you formulate your sentences, right? You're going to see a big difference. With your friend, it's a lot more relaxed. And with the script, it's way too structured or robotic. So we have the level of learning what you're going to say. Then number two is, how can I smooth this out now so it doesn't sound like I'm following a script or that I'm being a robot? How can I sound as much as possible as just another one of their friends talking to them? Why? So you have less barrier to entry in their mind when you talk to them. There's particular triggers that people have when they listen to us that tell them stranger, salesperson, right? So again, you have to memorize the script. But once you memorize it, if you're still saying, oh, hello, is this Mr. blah, blah, blah? Hello, Mr. blah, blah, blah. My name is, that's not how we talk with people. Immediately, you flag something negative in their mind. And now they negatively associate you with something. Because remember, everybody makes connections and associations in milliseconds in their mind. And when you trigger those things with those mistakes that you make, right? So now in the context of the sale, yes, I'm going to follow my script, but I'm going to smooth it out. Right? If you know your friend, are you calling him Mr. whatever? No, if his name is Keith, you call him Keith. Him is Jim, you call him Jim. Name is Miguel, you say, hey, Miguel, right? So that's a change that you guys have to make. I'm going to speak as if we're comfortable with each other. That's going to assume more comfort. Now, assuming that your delivery is good, you're going to notice a big difference in the response that you get versus, hello, is this Mr. whatever, right? For a fact, less people are going to slam the door in your face or hang up on you. And you're going to get a few more seconds to now extend this interaction a little bit, right? Because if we're talking sales here, especially, you're going in there with a particular intent. You want to get their information, right? You want to set up an appointment. You want to make the sale, whatever your intention is. There's something there. You're not just creating that conversation out of thin air just for fun. You have an intention. You have something that you're going for, right? Therefore, we have to have a particular structure and then navigate that structure as smoothly and as comfortable as possible in order to facilitate the interaction. Because all I'm doing when I focus on talking or speaking to somebody is removing the barriers that would stop them from talking to me, right? Which would be incorrect motions that I'm making with my body or body language, right? Weird speech patterns that don't make them comfortable, stuff like that. You eliminate all that stuff, all the elements of discomfort, then comfort will be created. So you have to think of the context. If I'm talking to a stranger out on the street, what's the context? We're strangers and we're in a street. I'm going to give them extra space if I talk to them initially to make them feel comfortable, right? That's going to be different somewhere else. Maybe in a nightclub, It's a little bit more accepted to be slightly closer to people, still not in their face, but maybe you can get a step or two closer and it won't break that barrier, right? What's going to change there? The context, especially if you're in a place with loud music. It would be more acceptable based on that concept to be a little bit closer so you can hear. But on the street, if I'm just approaching somebody, there's no loud music, I'm going to have to give them space. Otherwise, they're going to be like, yo, what the hell, right? So different context is going to require different strategies and different techniques is really what I'm getting at here. And when you guys take this more studious approach to communication, you start to open up more possibilities. This is the difference and the X factor between somebody getting the blueprint from me or, hey, follow the script, and they get no results versus the other guy. I give him the same tools and he does very well, makes a ton of money and gets everything he wants. The same tools were given. What's the difference? The person and their execution. That's it. That's it. But you have to take this thing a lot more serious. I see, especially in my industry, in real estate, I see people running to everything. Oh, what's the easiest thing? I don't want to have to talk to people. It's like, dude, wake up. Wake up. You're going to have to talk to people. Sorry, you can't hide behind a computer or your phone forever. Like, I don't know where this notion is where people want to come in and make a ton of money with little effort and not doing anything. It's not going to happen. And people will pay exorbitant amounts of money to do that, but not to build their skills. It's sad because they know themselves that shit's not going to work. But you know what the beauty of skills is? And this is how I'll wrap it up with communication, the skills of communication. That's your equalizer. For those of you who lack experience, you feel too young, you don't feel accomplished yet, right? And you're going up against people that you perceive to be like me when you meet with clients or, you know, when you're running your business. Your only equalizer, it's not money or anything else, it's your skill. Because it's your skill that gets the decision or persuades them to go with you or the other person. That's it. Because if we want to nitpick your presentation, what you said, that all comes down to your communication and your skill. That's your equalizer. Now, you add experience and all that and skill, now you're unstoppable. But see, the interesting part about the skill aspect is it takes time and it takes effort and it takes guidance and teaching. And you have to commit yourself to the process. That's the missing key for everybody is they don't want to commit. And until you make the commitment to that process of building your skills, you will always fall short. I've been saying this shit for a long time now. And I keep seeing people fall by the wayside because they're unwilling to commit. You have to commit. You have to commit. And commitment is very easy to spot. When I look at your schedule, I know if you're committed. I know if you're committed right away to skills or not. Right? The role play, the coaching calls, right? The studying, the amount of action being taken to build the skills, right? In their everyday work. All that stuff shows up. It's very easy. And then we see you. What's the easiest way to know if somebody's changed? By the way, their communication has changed. They have a different level of communication when you speak to them. I can very quickly, if I haven't talked to you in a while, realize quickly that you're evolving or changing just by how you communicate. Very simply, in an instant. And if you're not, your communication hasn't changed at all. Interesting. Interesting. You see, but that requires work and effort and dedication and discipline and commitment and all the stuff that people run away from. This whole world of social media and podcasts and YouTube and all that shit and Facebook and Instagram, people have this, oh man, it's so much easier now. Well, no, the failure rate in our industry, especially real estate, but I'm assuming in other ones too, has gone up. Why? Because people just, oh, it's easy. Well, no, it's not. It's not. Getting information has become easier, sure. But the execution and the building of the business has not become easier. And a lot of people are starting to find that out. And now we're going into a shifting market. So many of you are going to have to change what you're doing. You had to change it before, but even more so now. What are you going to do? Okay. So take this thing a little bit more serious, right? If it's on your list, bump it up a couple slots to put it up in the top 3. You'll see after a while that you're going to see some changes, not only in your business, but in yourself, more importantly. Okay. So thank you for being here, y'all. I know it's the weekend. We will wrap it up here. Schedule your strategy call with us. Those of you looking to take that step and commit more, you need help. The strategy calls are free. We can help you out. You also have my website there to check everything out, and also your free bonus if you get on the email list, and you can stay up to date on all these things that we do. I have 2 webinars coming up this Tuesday and the following Tuesday. Make sure you get registered for those. You can message me on my personal accounts Instagram or Facebook if you haven't seen them. Check out our Discord link and all the other stuff we have with the eXp Realty. Okay, we'll see you guys. Peace.